How we doing today? So today I'm going to be talking about perceptions, as in how things appear and how things are, our points of view, if you will. Kind of like a note here. I love how I feel versus I feel loved. Things like that. When we think about perceptions, everyone has a certain perception or a certain point of view. It's always important to try to look from someone else's perception of things. Because perceptions is how someone can misjudge something as something as morally right when it's actually morally unethical. It's only okay to kill people as long as they're not the ones getting killed, type deal. Perception. Evil is a perception. Goodness is a perception. Perceptions are the key to understanding everyone. And when you can look at someone outside of your own perception and your own perspective, and when you take a step back and look at things from a detached, non-emotional state and see things for what they are, it's very, very important to be grounded in how you look at things. Like as in, my time is only valuable when I use it productively versus what I do produces time valued. Does that make sense? It's not necessarily what you do or how you spend your time. There's different perceptions there, different perspectives, if you will. Or I'm sorry I make you feel that way versus I'm sorry you feel that way. Someone feels a certain way regardless whatever you do or say. They're going to feel a certain way. They've already committed to a way of the way they want to feel. Versus you make yourself feel your own way. Someone can tell me I'm a piece of shit and I continue to be happy. Therefore, I'm not allowing their perspective or their perception of me to be altered. This is really crucial when it comes to people, when it comes to growing as a society and growing internally as people or as a person. Things like nothing ever good happens for me versus I choose not to see anything good that's going on for me. Because you can have a roof over your head, cable of 10, 100,000 channels, food in your fridge to last a decade, and, clothes on your back, shoes on your feet, and yet you look at the guy next to you and he's barely making rent, barely has ramen in his kitchen sink, and he has cardboard cutouts for shoes. Are you kidding me? Perception is huge, and it is one of the most undervalued aspects of when you try to look at someone else's perspective on how they see things. See, a lot of people think that apparently that I'm just gifted a lot of things. No, that's not the case at all. I had to work very hard for everything I have. I've worked very hard to cultivate a very close-knit relationship with Spirit and with God and the universe. I maintain it daily. And I'm very grateful for that. But that is my perspective. That is my perspective and my perception. But my perception is held on the basis of fact because I'm taking a step out of myself and looking at what the facts are. What do I do on a constant basis? How do I behave? What are my goals? What does my day usually consist of? Does it just include just self-gratifying actions, or is it for a reason? These are all very, very, very important to look at when you're trying to grow and become more and evolve. This is, when it comes into shadow work and stuff like that, this is grossly important stuff that I have hidden on. And not a whole lot of readers will hit on this, and that's why I'm hitting on that today. Okay? A lot of people walk around saying, oh, the universe is punishing me. And in reality, your behavior is simply just being mirrored. Oh, you like being miserable? Well, let's give you more of that. When you change your internal thought process, you can't. I know the world is not lollipops, rainbows, and butterflies all day. I understand that. It's not lost on me. But what I choose to do with it, with those facts, that's what makes the difference of being a good person or not. And that's a whole other perspective there. Am I being a good person or not? It doesn't matter. As long as you know here, when you make a decision, is it expansive? As in, do you feel free when you do it? Or does it feel contracted? Do you feel, when you're with somebody or when you do something, do you feel like you put limits on yourself? Expansive and contracted perspective are grossly important when it comes to growing, especially with shadow work. When you make a choice to help someone, say, are you doing it for the gratification of helping them? Perspective one. Or are you doing it solely to help that person? This is where it gets nitty gritty. And I'm going to dig into it a little bit more. People say you don't make sense, versus let me ask and try to filter my frame of mind to see where your perspective is. People get so many blinders on sometimes that they'll hear someone say something and they'll automatically discount what they say because they already think they know the answer. They think they know better. Instead of being open and hearing them. And saying, okay, I've seen your perspective. I've looked at it from your point of view. And if it's valid, I'll take it. Thank you. If not, you're still invalid, but I at least listened to you. This is how we grow with non-judgmental norms. I mean, it's insane. People always have this weird complex that they need to compete. There is no need for competition. The only thing I've ever strove for right now, lately in my life, has been the love of God. And I already have His love. I don't need any other validation from anybody other than that of myself. And that is the biggest key. If you feel something, like if you make a choice and it feels constrictive or restrictive, it's probably a bad choice. If you've ever been given, say, sense of urgency for sailing, for people who do sales and try to push you into a sale, if you're not allowed to sleep over it overnight, if you can't think about it, it's probably not a good idea. Now, there are times that you might have to make a split decision and say, yes, I'll sign here, sign there. Use your discernment. I'm saying this very loosely. And there's also a huge, huge misconception with love bombing of people who say, I love you versus I love what you can do for me. And that is usually shown not so much with what people say, but when you perceive how they behave, what their everyday actions entail, how they behave towards you, how they behave towards other people, what you do during those times. A lot of times we have to take a step back and look at our own behavior. If something we can't stand about someone else, and here's the real kick in the nuts. A lot of times you say, I can't stand that person. They do this and they do that. It's usually something unhealed about ourselves that we can't stand. If you actually open your mind up and rewind a little bit in the past of your life, you might be, oh shit, you might have something there. Now, that's not saying all the time. There are some people I truly cannot stand. But that's mostly just fake people that are so full of shit. We're not even going to go there. Existence is based on love, which is a fulcrum. People have always say that people always lie versus people lied and I have issues with trust now. These are different perspectives. These are different points of view or frames of mind. And it's important that when someone says something like, nothing ever good happens for me, take a look at what they're wearing. Take a look at what they do. And if they're not starving, I don't see how nothing ever good happens for them. I'm not saying their life is rainbows, don't get me wrong. But they're looking at a very micro scale perspective versus the macro scale perspective. In the grand scheme of things, life is good. There's a lot of things I wanted to say about with people that try to say destiny swap, stuff like that. This is the most retarded thing I've ever heard. Destiny swapping. For someone to think that they can come in and take what is set aside for you, that is written in the stars for you by God. God is going to keep for you what is for you. Nobody else can take it unless you allow it. Now, I've had a lot of people try to kick me while I'm down. I've had a lot of people try to destiny swap with me. I've had a lot of spiritual attacks. You know what you do for me? What I've done? Some of those times it's been very hard to keep a level head. Put my hand on my heart and say, this is too heavy for me, Lord. It is yours now. Sometimes I pace all day in my room, in my apartment, because I'm pissed off. I'm not going to lie. And then I take a step outside of myself and I look for things for what they are. And all it boils down to is people run on jealousy, I think, or envy. Envy is quiet, jealous is loud. And when people think that they can take and wear your energy, so to speak, the original, which is you, versus the unauthentic version, which is them, the contrast is night and day. And it is hysterical to me. Because you can see when someone is fake as fuck. And you can see when someone's being legitimate. When I'm talking about perspective, I like to take a step back and look back at myself and see what my perspectives are, see what someone else's perspective is. And I try to see it from their end. I'm a Gemini, I try to see things from both ends. Plus, multidimensional. So, if you have multidimensional mindset, you're going to try to see things from every angle. And sometimes you see points that they didn't mean to point out about yourself that actually can improve you. But in the grand scheme of things, it's all about getting a grounded perspective. You have to see things from all angles before you make any judgments. And that makes a grounded person. That's all I really came on here to talk about, is just that perspectives are just so, there's so many perspectives. Everyone has a different perspective. Everyone has a different point of view. I can never see things from your point of view because I'm not you, but I can see from your perspective. Does that make sense? When we're happy and we choose that choice to be internally, we choose to be happy, you generate more of a magnetic field that is more magnetic and it draws people to you. And other people who are insecure, their perspective gets very threatened because the attention is no longer so much on them anymore, or vice versa. and they want to go to attack mode because of jealousy. You see, but when you can relate to them and you can come to understandings and you can see where they're coming from, sometimes you can, make peace with them. If not, you do you. Always be yourself. Don't ever water yourself down for nobody. Nobody or nothing. The more you expand, the more you evolve. And the more you evolve, the closer you are to being whole. Lately, for me, all my decisions have been ever expansive. I've had a lot of people try to do constrictive rulings to me, or saying that I couldn't do something. And I said, you know what? Screw you. And it's not because I think I'm better than them. It's the fact that I see where the perspective is, and they're just seeing it because they couldn't do it. They think that I couldn't do it, and they're not me. Perspective is huge in this day and age, and I think it's something that we all need to take a look at, because from a homeless person's perspective, I'm rich. From a rich person's perspective, I'm poor. From my own perspective, I'm right where I need to be. I'm neither. I'm happy. I know I got God, and I know I got my life. I couldn't ask for very much more. So with that, this is my little spill on perspective, and hopefully that helps somebody out. Till then, namaste.